All right, first things first, we're moving down to player-based difficulty under the match tab. Now, the reason I've turned that off is because it is too hard. Now, what I mean by that is the AI, whenever they're using a star player, which is pretty much their best rated player on their team, is just insanely good. The passing, the ball control, the runs that they make, the shooting, everything about that player is just too good. Now, it does seem like a good idea because you do want that extra challenge, but unfortunately, I have found it too hard. But if you would like to, that is definitely a setting that I would recommend definitely play around with. Okay, moving on to user gameplay customization. Now, I've only changed three things in here, so I'm leaving everything at the very top the same. When I get down to goalkeeper ability, though, I'll put that on 83. Now, the reason I put it so high would be because I'm sick of the goalkeeper letting in easy saves. Now, at least at 83, the goalkeeper will attempt to save every shot that's made, but also not save every shot. So it still isn't going to be overpowered in that sense, but it's just at least going to give the feeling that the goalkeeper's doing something rather than just sit there and watch the ball go in, even though it's 35 centimeters to the left of him. Positioning and marking, I've popped up to 65 as well. So what I'm going to be doing with that is making sure that defenders are tightly marking their opponents. Now, the runs that the CPU make are insanely good on professional, and I don't know why that is. There's just a massive skill gap between semi-pro and professional, and it caught me off guard when I first started doing professional. But with the user setting as 65, I've found that the centre backs and the right backs and left backs, depending if there's a cross, will actually mark their opponents realistically. So instead of the right back randomly staying at the edge of the box and watching the left wing run straight through, he will actually go and mark him goal side as well. Now, I have only put it on 65 because I found anything higher is a little bit too overpowered, but 65 seems to be the sweet spot for marking, but not too overpowered marking. And scrolling down a little bit more, I have also changed first touch control error. Now, it's not really a change, it's only two less than the original. But the reason I put it down to 48 is I still personally like having a little bit of error with my passing, and when the player gets the ball and it bounces up or something, I still like that random aspect of it. Now you can definitely put it up or put it down depending on how you want to play. I put it down to 48 because the less it is, the less error you have. But also I didn't want to make it too unrealistic to the fact where I could power the frick out of it into someone and they just control it like it's nothing. All right, lastly, we have CPU gameplay customization. So if we scroll down to shot error, I've put that on 63. Now, the reason I've done that is because I find it's not overpowered, but it's also not underpowered. It's perfectly balanced, as things should be. So leaving it at 63, we've got that when they take a shot, it's not always going to be on target, but it's not always going to miss as well. So I find anything more than 70, I wouldn't really push it because that's going to make it a little bit unbalanced. I like it in terms of being able to at least have a shot and challenge the keeper, but also not completely miss and still have a chance of going in. Pass error, sorry, is exactly the same as well. 66, I've put it as only because their passing is insanely good. Now, I don't know if you ever have to come across this. I hope you don't. There'll be a triangle, so three of their players passing in between one of your players, and it will just keep going back and forth, and it is frustrating to play against. So the reason I've put it up just a little bit more than the default is because I want them to have a bad pass, one that will maybe come to me instead, or one that will come off their foot and run the other way and at least give my player a chance to go after it. Now, it's also down to not knowing how to defend. I'm personally not a great defender, so this is probably why I put it up so much. If you want it a little bit less, feel free to do that. It's completely up to you. Moving down to injury frequency. Now, that's just more of a dick move. I find it that I want them to, have an injury if I've slide tackled them and completely annihilated them. But, feel free to move that up and down. I think anything more than 55, there's an injury every game, and I don't think that's too realistic. But you can obviously change it to however you want it. Severity I've left as normal because I don't really want one guy doing his ACL every game. I think that's definitely a little bit unrealistic. Goalkeeper ability, I've actually put that up to 65. Now, the reason I put that up is shooting in this game, after a little bit of time, you start to realize the patterns. You start to realize, how much power to put on and whatnot. So I've put up the goalkeeper just to make it also challenging for me to score as well. Now, it's not up a crazy amount, but it's also not as a default. So it's still a challenge, and you'll still have a one-on-one with the keeper, and he might make an excellent save in the final minutes of the game, and you might end up drawing. So in terms of realism, I put that up just a bit, so it's not disadvantage for them not to be able to score, but also it's disadvantage me to be able to score as well. Now the goalkeeper isn't any crazier than it really is. It's just long shots are a little bit harder to score. One-on-one with the keeper, he acts a little bit better. He won't just rush at you, and you'll be able to chip him. It's planned from the goalkeeper's term. Positioning and marking, I've put that down by 2 as well, just so my players have a few more runs to be able to get through. I find that the defenders mark my players too easily. I don't have any attacking options, which is the worst when it's one person with the ball and 3 of their players come and none of your players make any options. So I found out that just making it 2 less gives that a little bit of a balance, and at least gives their defenders less marking ability, which then can open up some chances. And other than that, the fullback positioning completely the same. First touch control is the last one. I put it up to 56, just so when they do touch the ball, it's not always going to be straight down the bottom of the feet and just leave it there. They're at least going to have some problems with it. It's not going to be majorly noticed. There might be 1 or 2 passes that end up making the control bad, but it's not going to be disadvantaged, and it's also not going to give you too great of an advantage either. So other than that, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope these settings help you, and I hope that you can adjust them and make them a little bit better, but also have some fun doing it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.